up, guys? My name is Brandon. Welcome to Audio Addiction, where you can find latest album reviews. You can find our band interviews, and you can find live coverage of the concerts that we get. We'll be posting a show thoughts of Warped Tour coming up really soon, probably by the end of this week, hopefully. As well as count 'em 5 album reviews. We already did one, Silverstein's new record. Gospel Youth CDs over here. Just believe me, it's there. It would mess up my green screen, otherwise I'd do it. As well as Picturesque, hopefully really soon, as well as our good friends in Fox Vibes. We're going to be putting out his album review as well, and interview will probably go out by the end of this month, maybe the first week of August, so definitely check that one out. So if you enjoy what we do here, make sure to subscribe, make sure to hit that like button as well. Also make sure to hit that bell so you get notified on all the latest things that Audio Addiction has. And we're almost at 500 subscribers, so if you could subscribe, that'd be really sick. I might be doing a Q&A once we hit 500. Hoping to try and maybe get a giveaway going as well too. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on that as well. So tonight we're going to be talking about Dayseeker's new record, Dreaming is Sinking, Waking is Rising.
Don't you see yourself for who you really are? The vultures keep you picked.
So I've been a big fan of this band for a while. They've been a band since, I think it hasn't been too long, but they've been doing it. This is their third record. Their first record, What It Means to Be Defeated, is like one of my favorite records as well by them. Origin was awesome too. So it's cool to see that they finally kind of have been progressing and people have been picking up and seeing them and, enjoying their music. I definitely feel like they have become more aggressive and a little bit more darker as the albums have progressed. So that's kind of like an interesting little thing about them. Also, they just have this really great vocalist. Rory, I think, is one of my favorite post-hard vocalists in the scene at the moment now. So really, really was pumped to hear this record and kind of give my thoughts on it. So I'm going to go through each track, give my thoughts and opinions on it. I'm going to do some pros and cons on the record, and then I'm going to give an overall rating for the entire record. So we're going to get into the first track, which is Dreaming is Sinking. This is kind of like a cool little intro song. It has this cool sort of spoken word part just throughout from Rory, taking cues from Silent Planet. Obviously, they know each other very well, so that's always a cool kind of thing to hear. But definitely got that vibe from them, at least in my opinion. And it kind of leads really great into the next track number 2, which is Vultures. This was the first single that they released. They released a music video with it as well, so if you haven't checked that out, I would highly recommend it. It's really cool. And then the next music video we'll talk about in a minute, but this one's definitely one of my favorites. I think Rory has just such conviction when he screams. You can hear a lot of emotion and just like deep emotion in how he screams, and just the way he can convey his lyrics, which I think really stands out a lot. And I also feel like the instrumentation that and just his band behind him obviously pushes his vocals forward, both in the cleans department and in the scream department. I feel like they really kind of push him forward to be the best kind of vocalist out there, which is great. The chorus is super catchy. I definitely feel like Rory knows how to assemble a great melody and a great kind of hook line. And to me, this one's definitely one of my favorites, like I've been mentioning. But I really find that it finds a great balance between cleans and screams. It's not just all screams, and it's not just all cleans. So I feel like they found a really great happy medium with that. And the last sort of breakdown is reminiscent of Silent Planet as well. I know I'm going to be referencing them a lot, but I feel like their sound is kind of similar. I mean, not like 100% similar, but I know that they have qualities that both bands have that, I feel like they definitely play off each other, and they know each other very well. So to me, I feel like it's a compliment. I mean, people can take it how it is, but I see it as a compliment, not as like a diss on them whatsoever. So I definitely feel like this is a great opener track. It really does give you an idea of how the record will sound, just in terms of lyrically and just sonically. I feel like they're 2-1 in that regard. So we're gonna move into track number 3, which is Cold Dark Winter. This one is another one of my favorites as well. I feel like they've definitely expounded more on their melodic parts into this track in particular. I also feel like just in general, melodically, they've gotten a little bit better. Since the last record, I feel like they have definitely kind of honed in what type of melodies they want in there and things of that nature. And I feel like they've found at least their home in that regard. I also feel like this is kind of a great follow up to The Home We Built. I'm pretty sure it's a good follow up to The Home We Built. Someone can clarify that. But to me, it sounds like a follow up. But I'm really loving the grit in Rory's vocals. I feel like they add a lot of character to his overall just clean vocals, and it kind of rides that line between having some like pristine cleans to screams. So I feel like he can kind of hit that middle ground with his kind of the vocal styling that he does on this track and just in tracks in general. And I also feel like the instrumentation is another really good thing to point out. I think the guitars sound really heavy and kind of match the tonality, but also at the same time, offer very varying breaks throughout the tracks in terms of just like either little like lead parts or something like that, and then the drums kind of add that overall just weight to the sort of heavier guitar parts along with the bass as well. So to me, I feel like this one is another really solid instrumental sort of bass track. I definitely feel like at around the 2 minutes and 47 mark is when this track kind of kicks in and just really goes hard. And I like also how it leads into the next track, which we'll be talking about, track number 4, which is Abandon. I would say that this track definitely grew on me. I listened to it initially. By the way, it's a single as well, and it is also one of my favorites too. But I would definitely say this track grew on me. I didn't like it at first when I watched the. I think there was a music video for this one as well. Yeah, a live music video for this one. But it didn't really grab me, and I also feel like I didn't have the track prior to this one that kind of melds in and kind of gives you an idea of how the tracks will lead in, because I would say Vultures, Cold Dark Winter, and Abandon kind of are together and they just fit well together. But to me, I didn't have that song prior to this, so it felt very like odd and things of that nature. But I definitely say over time, at least in my opinion, the track grew on me. The layered screams just add this sort of depth to Rory's vocals as well as the track as well. You can hear his kind of diversity in what he does in screams. A lot of the time it's kind of a mid-range scream, but I like that he added some lows. It really does add that sort of depth to his vocals as well. Really liking a tappy sort of lead line at around the 1 minute and 50 second mark to around the 2 minutes and 10 second mark. I think it was really cool. Added this sort of like ethereal sort of, I wouldn't say ethereal, definitely more ambient style to what they're going for in that. The additional piano was another really cool touch as well, and I feel like they add that sporadically throughout this album, which is definitely a nice, cool kind of addition to a track. The vocal melodies were really awesome, and some of the runs were really sick as well. Like I said, he's one of my favorite post-hardcore clean vocalists, as well as screams, but I would definitely say more so the cleans, in my opinion. But it's really awesome. And then around the 3 minutes and 15 second mark, it's really when it builds up to begin laying down this really sick breakdown towards the end of the track, which I really feel like kind of finishes off that kind of I guess like trilogy of tracks, which is really awesome. And I feel like the next track is one that a lot of people are excited to hear. So we'll move into track number 5. Like I mentioned, it was a track that a lot of people were excited to hear. As of recording this, this was released as a music video pretty recently, but this one is definitely one of my favorites as well. Track number 5, like I mentioned, Sleep in the Sea Part 2, and this one features Garrett Russell again for the second time. If you didn't listen to Part 1, I feel like lyrically they definitely talk about the Part 1 and they reference it a lot. So if you haven't listened to that, I would recommend listening to that before you get into this record. or at least his track in the record. But it's definitely one of the heavier tracks off the record, in my opinion. Um, Garrett just adds this sort of depth to, his part in the bridge, but as well as just instrumentally, it sounds much heavier. I like that they, like I said, it's a cool sort of follow up to part one. I would recommend listening to part one if you haven't already. But vocally, it's definitely great on both sides. The screams definitely have that sort of piercing feeling, and I like that the cleans are a little bit gritty and show a little bit of heart in that, and so I really think it's awesome what's Rory's doing with the cleans as well. Garrett does an awesome job as per usual. I would say that he offers a lot of diversity in his screams, and just his lows were, they were so prime, and I'm ready for the next I'm ready for the next Silent Planet record. But just I feel like he's always been a great addition to Rory, and just his playoff with him has just been phenomenal. So to me, I always love when Garrett kind of features on a track. He really kind of puts his heart and soul into it, and you can really tell in this track, he really put a lot of heart and effort into it, and I really feel like it shows, obviously. And I definitely feel like this was definitely a cool follow up to the first part as well. Just lyrically and sonically, it's definitely a much harder hitting track, but it's still really awesome. And I also like that they kind of ended this a little bit softer. I think it has some like piano and stuff like that, and it just ends a little bit more light than previous tracks have. So I think that's really solid. So we're gonna move into track number 6, which is 6 Feet Under. This one is one of my favorites as well. I feel like this one's kind of a switch up sort of track. It feels very different from any other Dayseeker song that I've heard in a while. It definitely has, a softer sort of intro, but then it definitely gets more aggressive. The guitar parts and the riffing is really awesome in this track as well. I definitely feel like the drums add to the intensity of this track as well. And the guitars have this sort of great bounce to it, and it just lends itself to this track in particular. Just with Rory's vocals and just how he's going about different things, I feel like it meshes very well with what they're going for. I definitely feel like this is one of Rory's stronger performances off the record, in my opinion. I love this sort of ad-libby sort of vocal runs in this track. I really feel like he laid it down on this one and just went a little bit more in than he would in maybe another track. I feel like he put a lot of melodic effort into it. And you can definitely hear that he's going for a lot of different runs in this track. I'd love to see how he executes this one live if this is on their set list, which I would assume isn't. But either way, I'd like to hear it and see how it differs from a recorded version to a live version. Because if he can nail this song live, then he might be he would definitely be in my top still, without a doubt. But definitely liking the sort of clean lead guitar parts that kind of carry throughout this track as well. I really feel like that adds another little depth of the track, and also adds this sort of like cool little ambience to the track as well. So we're gonna move into track number 7, which is Hanging by a Thread. I would say this is almost like an interlude-ish track. I think it's like under 2 minutes, so I would kind of consider it an interlude. It does add, a bit more ambience to this track. I don't know if it's maybe like, a little bit of an extension of 6 Feet Under, but it does have a lot to do with, the instrumentation. It feels very reverby and very, ambient and very kind of like open sounding, which is really cool. And it's definitely a bit of a slower sort of track. Like I mentioned, I feel like it's more of an interlude, if anything. Vocally, there wasn't anything like super crazy going on, but I think it was kind of like a solid sort of pacer for the record. You're a little bit past halfway, so it's definitely, or around halfway, give or take. So it's cool that they had a little like kind of pacer in that regard. So we're gonna move into track number 8, which is Desolate. This one is another one of my favorite tracks. I would say that this one is the heaviest track off the record. Just sonically, it just sounds like just a wall of just anger, which is insane. I would definitely say it's up there, if not the heaviest track off the record, in my opinion. Again, Rory has such a great voice, and he just sings with such conviction. in my opinion. And I would definitely say he sings a lot more with heart in this track in a lot of the other tracks. Um, I definitely feel like the breakdown at around the minute mark to around the minute and 26-second mark definitely goes in and has just a hard hitting punch and just grit to it. Like I said, I feel like this is their heaviest track off the record, so I definitely feel like they're gonna go in on this one. I feel like personally the tapping sort of lead parts could be turned up just a smidge more. It feels a little bit light in in the headphones and also on the speakers that I have that you can't see. But I definitely feel like it could have been turned up a little bit more and could have added a little bit more pop to the track. In my opinion, the bridge kind of offers this interesting relief, and I definitely feel like this track, ends on a strong note. It's real heavy, real aggressive, real in your face. So if you want a track like that, and you've been waiting for a track like that, then this is your go-to track, in my opinion. So we're gonna move into track number 9, which is carved from stone. I would definitely say this falls into the rank of slower, sort of softer tracks. I'm definitely liking the juxtaposition between heavier tracks and lighter tracks. I really feel like they have not not what's the word for it, not like overexerted your ears. Like, you have some heavier tracks, but you also have some lighter tracks. It's not just like onslaught of heavy tracks. It's very paced, is very thought out, which I really appreciate. It can be kind of annoying when there's like 5 or 6 heavy songs in a row and you don't get any relief from it. So that's definitely interesting. I feel like this one accents more of their melodic side again. I feel like a lot of the slower songs accent their more melodic, sort of ambient side of what they do, which is really cool. I like both sides of the fence. I really do like the heavier tracks that just have that aggression and just anger, and then the other ones that have that sort of light and just like real, like, I don't know, just like ambient and melodic feeling to them. I definitely feel like this one is just a really great song, and instrumentation wise definitely kind of lends itself to this track. And just I feel like it's a really strong focal point of this track. Just the drums, the bass, and the guitar just add this scenery. It almost paints like a picture, and I feel like Rory's voice kind of just accents that whole thing. So to me, I think it's a solid track. I wouldn't put it in my favorites, but I definitely feel like it's a solid track to point out. So we're gonna move into track number 10, which is "Come Hell or High Water." This features JTKV of Era. This one is another one of my favorites. I'm liking that switch up between the cool sort of piano slash electronic intro. I think that's really solid. I'm definitely loving the arrangement in the chorus as well. I would say that this one falls into the category of another heavier sort of track, as well as it has some great bounce to it as well. So if you're expecting a really kind of high energy track, I would definitely, wouldn't stray too far from this one. I like the bits of diversity from Rory as well in this track. I feel like his falsetto is super, super clean and it's awesome. And I definitely feel like the notes he hits is just insane. Definitely a vocally diverse track, like I've been mentioning. He's got everything. He does the screams, he does the cleans. He knows how to kind of dirty it up. He knows how to do those like really like wispy sort of cleans. So to me, I feel like he's a great overall all around vocalist. The bridge was really cool. More specifically, how they incorporate JT's vocals. He does this sort of cool, like ambient, sort of reverby scream part at the beginning, and then they kind of really get into it afterwards. I think he was a great feature. However, I would have definitely loved to see some maybe like back and forth between him and Rory, or him to kind of do some like harmonization in terms of screams with Rory. I think that would have been sick. But just those were just kind of oddball things that I was thinking of. I feel like that would have just added that sort of gnarly element, especially towards the end of the track. That would have just put it over the line for me. It may have been one of my top favorites. Obviously, it is a favorite, but I meant like definitely my favorite track off the record. I feel like that would have been really cool. Obviously, to me, it's hindsight's 2020, but that's what I would have liked to see from that track. So we're gonna move into track number 11, which is Counterpart. I would definitely say that this is kind of the more soft song. I would say it's probably the softest song in my opinion. I would say that the main focal point is more of Rory's vocals, especially his cleans, which are again super solid in my opinion. I feel like he again knows how to clean it up, but he also knows how to make it dirty as well. Really liking all the sort of like subtleties in this track, vocally and just instrumentally. There's some great sort of like ambient sort of lead parts as well as piano and things of that nature. So I really feel like they've incorporated a lot of really interesting elements in this track. I like how they experimented with the ambience of this one as well. To me, it's a bit of a change of a pace in terms of, again, they're really making it so that you don't get tired of the heavy tracks. They're really making sure that there's enough lighter tracks to kind of balance out the heavy tracks, which really works well with what they're going for. And to me, it ends off really strong with sort of an anthematic finish to it, which is really interesting to hear on this track. I would say this one's probably my favorite in terms of the softer tracks. As well, I wouldn't put it in like favorite tracks off the record, but I do appreciate the um, I do appreciate the effort and the thought process in going into like a softer song. I know it's kind of hit or miss for most people, and what most people expect is either a really heavy track or a real light track. So definitely in that regard, it's you can't win it all, but I definitely appreciate it for what it is. So we're gonna move into the last track, which is "Waking is Rising." This one is my favorite track as well. It has this cool sort of tappy lead guitar line at the beginning of the track. I feel like to me this track has the most balance to it. There's just great vocal parts as screams and cleans respectively, but also instrumentally I feel like it highlights the best moments of Dayseeker, in my opinion. And I definitely feel like it encapsulates what type of sound they're going for, in my opinion, in this track. I like that the piano was added throughout this track. I feel like it adds a sort of extra dimension into the track, especially in the choruses as well. But more specifically, I just feel like it just, adds this ambience into the track that is kind of necessary, in my opinion. So I definitely appreciate that. And it's definitely easily one of my favorite performances from Rory, period. I definitely feel like the bridge goes in just with the different vocal lines, with the cleans and screams, you can hear them distinctly. I think that was a really solid move on that. I like the balance between those two as well. I thought that was really cool. And this last breakdown just put the nail in the coffin. I know I made a Dayseeker joke, ha ha ha, but that if you didn't get that reference, then you'll have to go look it up. But to me, they just really sold it for me. It was a great closing track, and I also like that it comes full circle and goes back into dreaming and sinking. Um, I thought that was definitely a cool look. I know another band, ironically enough, the shirt that I'm wearing, I the Mighty, did that with their latest record, Connector, and I really appreciated that as well. Just coming from somebody who listens to a lot of music, I appreciate when an album kind of comes full circle. So to me, really enjoyed that as well. So my pros and cons on this record, I would definitely feel like that they've gone in more of an angrier, sort of darker direction, but I don't mind. I definitely appreciate, the thought process going in with that, as well as I appreciate the kind of throwbacks with tracks like Sleep in the Sea Part 2 and then Cold Dark Winter, kind of referencing their older tracks. I'm sure there's a slew of other I mean not vocals but lyrical throwbacks to other records. I feel like Desolate may have been another one as well. But to me, I like that sort of cool thing. I thought the features that they had, Garrett Russell and JT, I feel like they really accentuated the tracks and really offered another dimension to Dayseeker as well. So in that regard, I feel like it was really solid. So my overall rating for Dayseeker's Dreaming is Sinking, Waking is Rising, I'm going to be giving it a 9.3 out of 10. Make sure to go check it out. They had a huge issue with hacking on their Facebook account, and I really feel like you guys should go pick this up. If not, go check them out at a show. They're going to be playing. They're on tour right now with The Color Morale, The Plot and You, and Picturesque. So I'm really excited to see that. I'm going to be seeing that not a week from this Friday, which I'm really stoked to check out. Picturesque, other good homies as well. Color Morale is always a great band, and The Plot and You, I've been recently getting into. I never really I wouldn't say I fell off. It's just that, sometimes I gotta be feeling them. So definitely excited to see that tour. I think it's one of the better lineups over the summer, in my opinion. So let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on the Dayseeker record. Do you feel like this is a good sort of follow up to Origin and what it means to be defeated? If not, either way, I'd love to have a conversation about it. I love talking about these sorts of bands, so definitely give me, some comments. What can I do better? Things of that nature. So, if you enjoy what we do, like I said, make sure to hit that subscribe button, make sure to hit that like button, and make sure to hit that bell so you get notified on all of our latest videos. Hopefully, if you liked it a lot, make sure we're almost at 500, which is kind of crazy to me. So if we could get to 500, that'd be super sick. So really excited about that. Also, make sure to check the links in the description. We have a link to our merch store. So if you'd like to support us even more, much love to you. So my name is Brandon. We hope you got your fix, and we'll be talking with you soon. Peace. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Of course, if you enjoy what we do, make sure to go check out the other series we do. We do album reviews, we do band interviews, and we do live videos, so definitely go check that out. Hit that subscribe button. It really helps out our channel, helps us grow. Make sure to hit that like button as well. Go follow us on social media. That's all down below. We try to keep that as updated as possible. We also made a new website where we'll be posting photos of upcoming concerts and stuff like that, which you can go check out at audioaddictionmedia.com and come get your fix with us, guys. Talk to you later. Deuces.